Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Speech Check. I'm Sam,
And I'm Matt.
and this is episode 12.
And today we're going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the House Party app, and games that we've experienced with other people. But before we talk about any of that, Sam, what have you been playing?
I've kind of been playing a lot of the same stuff, really, but I did restart XCOM, Enemy Unknown.
Okay.
I'm remembering how difficult it is, and because I've got a lot of time on my hands at the moment, I thought, okay, what one of my games can I get my teeth into, and I try and finish off previous stuff before I start something new. So I thought, you know what, yeah, XCOM's a good one to, that's definitely going to take up a lot of your time. I redid one of there was like a achievement I had to mop up on it called, I think, Shooting Stars. We have to shoot down 40 UFOs total, which over the course of 3 games I still didn't manage to do, but I only needed about 7. But it's surprising how much, because you can get like different interactions, can't you, where you get reduction sites, terror missions, and then you can encounter a UFO which then have to shoot down. So there's different variations of missions. So it took a little while, but I managed to get that done. And there is an achievement to beat the game on any difficulty, but you have to start from each of the different continents.
Okay.
So I don't know how much you remember, but each continent gives you a different starting bonus because you get the countries. If you get a satellite over every country in that continent, you get the bonus for that continent.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas picking the one at the start automatically gives you that bonus. And there are some that are like objectively better to have. So yeah, I restarted another game just on easy, just to get through the game as quick as I can. I think I started in Africa.
Okay.
Which gives you get 30% extra of whatever you earn per month. You get an extra bonus, 30% of that on top of it.
Okay.
So
I don't remember
it's pretty
a lot
good
about
to
the
have.
game, but that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think the best ones to pick are either Africa or North America, because I think you get half off like fighter jets or spaceships and spaceship repair, and that really eats, like, that's a big chunk of your, especially early game, like be a big chunk of your money to fix and build ships. Also, USA gives you the most money per month. I think they give you like 270, which is quite a bit. So yeah, just remembering how hard it was as well. There's like the in-game tactical maneuvering and how to build up soldiers and how to approach certain maps. That's just like, I don't know, maybe 20-25% of the game. Like base management, building, what to research, who to capture, knowing what stuff you have to do to move the story forward. It's, yeah, spinning plates, to say the least, but it's really enjoyable. There's a real satisfaction in completing a mission and getting stuff done and being able to. There's obviously some dice roll stuff in it, which is a little bit frustrating when you've got a 90% chance to hit and you still miss. That's like, But that's just one of those things in games like that. But yeah, it's a really satisfying game to do well on. But yeah, that's what I've been doing for XCOM. I finished Destroy All Humans.
Okay.
More to get through it. I kind of stopped playing it, I think I said before, because it had some stability issues, and the performance wasn't great. It crashed on me. It probably crashed on me at least 3 or 4 times.
Ooh.
Which, when you're doing it and you think, oh, I just can't. That just kind of, for me, that like just kills my enthusiasm for it.
No, yeah, I'm the same.
So okay, I can't just restart that. I'm done with that. I need to stop playing that for at least probably a day.
You lose progress through no fault of your own, right? And it's kind of like, you said, it saps your momentum.
Yeah, and I've had it before. I think I was playing. That happened to me for Arkham Origins.
Okay.
Batman. Did it whilst it was saving, and it deleted my save.
Oh.
And I was probably a good 75% way through the story, and I was like, nah. I left that for years until I went back to that.
You know what? You're reminding me of a story, a Fallout 3 story. Because
it's a Bethesda game that deleted your save whilst
works.
It was corrupting. Interesting, but do go on.
I downloaded the Broken Steel or Operation Anchorage. I think it was Operation Anchorage. I got the DLC, and I completed I was near the end of the game. I was pretty late game, but good, like 25, 30 hours in. I install this update, and then when I load my save, I spawned naked outside of the starting vault, and there was a vertibird landing in front of me.
So it was literally like you were like, ah!
Yeah, I
just awoke from like a drunken night out, like the hangover, but in full light.
Yeah, I couldn't work out how to fix it. Like I couldn't solve it. My save was just buggered. Like that, and that definitely wasn't where I'd left my character.
I would remember this.
I had like nothing in my inventory, none of my followers, completely naked, enclave in front of me. I'm like, okay, what?
Do you know, I had a similar thing on 3, in that I couldn't go to River City. It was bugged. I couldn't fast travel there, and if I tried to walk, when I got within, I guess, what the game deemed as the border for River City, it would crash.
Jesus. Why do I like that game so much?
I think we maybe gave it a pass because we were maybe Bethesda. We're not weaned on what Bethesda were like at that point. So, but when you've made, 4 or 5 games that have the same kind of issues, you're like, you start to catch on after a while.
You can get away with it once, but not 5 times.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there, man. Carry on.
That's cool. No, Path of Furon. I went back and did some of the collectibles. I've only got 1 achievement left to do, but the final world is like the alien homeworld.
Okay.
And there's not a great collectible guide for. Well, there is and there isn't, but it's really vague. The map isn't good on the game, and there's a lot of verticality to that level. So it's really difficult to know whether something's like at the very top of the building or like there's like an underground section that's like all rocks and stuff, and like all the environments are the same. So it's really hard to distinguish what's where. So I'm currently doing that, but it's a bit of it's going to be one I need to force myself to do. Been playing Smash, as always.
Oh yeah. Got
some more people in. The more astute fans will know from our Facebook post that I got Incineroar into Elite Smash, which was actually really fun. He's a fun character to play. He's goofy, and he can be gimped really easily, but he's satisfying to play when you hit the Alolan Whip. Hit that just right. Especially after Revenge.
Built on
and I got... Yeah, which, if you know how to play it, it's fun. And I like heavy hitters as well. And Simon and Richter, which don't usually gel with how I want to play. I usually like to play brawlers and people that get in up and close. But I don't know why. I think I like the whip as a mechanic, just having that distance. But yeah, I got them in as well.
Yeah, the whip with the tipper is really satisfying from what I've played of them.
Yeah, their big thing is, again, they're 2 characters that can be gimped quite easily, because if you lose your double jump, and you don't, but then you can have the whip, but then if you miss that, then you're just done. If you get launched at a bad angle. Yeah, they were fun to play, and you need to learn how to edge trap. People try and avoid the holy water. But then if you know they're going to do that, then you can get around them quite easily. And I'm working on Crom Fox. I'm so bad at Fox. I don't know what it is. I just really struggle to kill with him.
That's interesting, because you play Wolf, right?
He's more, I think, because he can two-frame really easily. His blaster actually can mess people up, and he just has... I think it's the fact that Fox is a fast faller. He's like a fast faller with high gravity. So it's a weird kind of mix. And from what I've seen of Light, the pro player, a lot of his stuff is on catching people with up airs, which is quite hard to hit, and people who, if you fail to tech a landing, that's when he like gets a down smash or an up smash on people.
Yeah, jab reset into up smash, right? That's one of his...
Yeah, that's one of his like key tools, and that's just the fact that I'm not very good at that, and on Wi-Fi timing just makes it that much harder. And I've messed around a bit with Diddy Kong as well, but I've not played too many with him.
Diddy's fun.
Yeah. And aside from gaming, I think just from having a lot of time, been binging a lot of stuff on Netflix, and Disney Plus. Got Disney Plus as well.
Okay, ditto.
Got back into Simpsons. I'm a big old Simpsons fan, but I'll stop at season 12 because that's where it gets bad. That's kind of like the mutually agreed upon season that it isn't good. You start to get the decline. Watch a lot of Disney films. Watch The Mandalorian as well. Mandalorian's really good. Really liking it.
How far through are you?
So the most recent one, but at the moment we've only got, or Disney Plus in the UK at least, is only given us up to chapter 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Sanctuary, I think it's called. They land on the world and they fight or they help the farming community that gets attacked by like these raiders. But yeah, it's just good. Bounty hunters in Star Wars are like one of the coolest parts about Star Wars for me, and they're not really explored too much in the main films. You get, I think, maybe like Rebels and Clone Wars gets into a bit deeper, and I think the Star Wars Legends, correct me anybody if I'm wrong, which is like the expanded universe for the comics.
Okay.
They get really into all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Yeah, that's the stuff I've been doing. Matt, what have you been playing? Enough of me rambling.
I'm gonna leap right off the back of your Disney Plus, because I have also downloaded that. Got the 7-day free trial. Fran said she's going to pay for a month, so I'm all for it. And we've been going through the MCU films, which has been double-edged.
Peaks and troughs?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, certainly. The first 2 Iron Man films are good. I like Iron Man.
I didn't like Iron Man 2.
3 was better. The plot was better in 3. I didn't mind 2. And when you compare it to 4...
2 was Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
I just didn't believe him as a villain.
No?
No, I don't know why.
They put War Machine in it. I was sold on War Machine, man.
Yeah, I suppose that's got the same grade. I don't know. I just didn't buy it. And then 3 is Ben Kingsley as
Mandarin. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a really weird ending where it's like, I'm not actually Mandarin.
It was spoilers for a film that's like probably a decade old now, but yeah, it turns out that the guy that runs the opposing tech company has created the Mandarin, and it's actually some actor from England. He's and he's pretending to be this guy so that he can have the US president on one side buying weapons off of him, and he's funding the war by controlling the Mandarin, who's like an imaginary terrorist.
Okay.
I thought it was a cool route for the story to go, you know?
It's subverting expectations, definitely. But I don't know, I heard that about it and I was like, that's just odd.
I enjoy 3. I don't enjoy, as much as I like Captain America as a character, I don't really like Captain America 1 and 2. I don't like either of the Thor films. I know there's...
2 was alright.
Thor,
like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was good.
Oh, Winter Soldier.
No, not Thor. No, Thor can meh.
Yeah, both of his films were meh. Winter Soldier was okay, but I just don't like Bucky Barnes. I don't like the subplot with Bucky Barnes.
Okay, I don't know if you meant the guy that played him, but yeah, I can see where you come from. Civil War was amazing.
Yeah,
Civil War makes up for the first 2.
For sure. But yeah, that's been one thing I've been doing, is remembering how exhausting it is to watch superhero films back to back, because it's like watching the same film over and over again.
Yeah, they do certainly have a specific formula that they follow. What are you up to?
I kind of jumped off a little bit at Guardians. I think Fran carried on, and she watched Infinity War last night. So she's going to be on Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think is the next one. I think. Are
you watching it release-wise? Are you watching it like
chronologically?
MCU timeline? Okay.
Well, no, on Disney Plus, there is a Marvel Cinematic Universe tab, and it just puts them in order. So I think it's right.
Oh, okay, fair.
But I've been doing that. That's been kind of entertaining. I'm remembering which films are good and which films are bad.
I like the caveat of kind of entertaining.
Yeah, I mean they're not. You phase out a lot. It's like, what's
Marvel
that?
should use it as their tagline. Marvel MCU kind of entertaining.
Most of the time, you're having a good time. Yeah, me and my mates have started a few games of Civilization 6 as well. We got the Gathering Storm DLC, which adds like variable CO2 levels and rising water and loyalty for cities and a few different civs, which is and it's really cool. Like when you're in the beginnings of the industrial age and you start mining coal and you have power in your cities, and then you move on to the modern age and you can see who's still using oil and coal, who's moved to hydroelectrics, and who is polluting the world, and when tides are going to change and stuff, which is kind of a cool thing. But never finished a game of Civilization 5 or 6 because they take an insanely long time, and you fail by degrees in a Civilizations game. So if you're going to lose, you've probably known that you're going to lose for I don't know, 50 turns before the game actually ends. You've already made your mistakes. Your bed's there. You're lying in it. You're just waiting to slip off.
You're waiting for the inevitable.
Yeah. So
I don't know a lot about it, but it seems like it's the video game equivalent of Monopoly. I don't think I've ever finished a game of Monopoly officially.
I'd say Monopoly has more comeback. Or does it actually? You can just be absolutely rinsed in Monopoly, can't you?
I think it was a Jordan Peterson thing that was like the first person to win money is generally the person that will win the game.
No, I heard that.
Like it's like it kind of follows the Matthew principle in that that person is more likely to win. Yeah, will win more.
Mm.
So
it makes sense. So yeah, lots of games. Civilization 6. Risk of Rain 2, I tried for the free weekend, which I posted about on our Facebook page. Let everyone know that it was having a free weekend, free download. And it was fun, but a shallow experience. And that's kind of all I'll say about it. It's pretty mindless, fun with friends, probably not worth a buy, to be honest. More Doom Eternal, I went through Ultraviolence and got all the collectibles. So I've 100%ed Ultraviolence now.
Nice.
And on the back of Resident Evil 3 coming out, which I'm about to talk about in a second, I've been going through the B campaigns for Resident Evil 2. And there's a reason I've been going through the B campaigns for Resident Evil 2, and I haven't bought Resident Evil 3.
But we'll get to that later.
We will.
So that's what we've been playing, but Matt, tell us about the releases.
I am about to do exactly that. So our first release for today is the Resident Evil 3 Remake, coming us from Capcom. Released the 3rd of April 2020. I've been excited to talk about this one since we spoke about the demo in the last episode, because I played that. It was pretty fun. I mentioned some of the changes they made to the Resident Evil 2 formula. Something interesting I discovered is that this was not developed by the same studio who were responsible for Resi 2.
Yeah, I found that as well. It was interesting to learn that, and it kind of opened my eyes a bit. So, okay, I now understand why things are the way they are.
It definitely tracks, and well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to get too deep into that now. I'll move through the broad overview of the game. So, it's Resident Evil 3 remade, shocker. So you play as Jill, moving through Raccoon City after the outbreak. So she has experienced the events from the Arclay mansion, Spencer Estate, and now the infection has got to Raccoon City and spread around. Everyone's zombies. It's a real bad time. I'm sure we all probably know the story of Resident Evil by now, but just to, broad strokes, things have changed since Resident Evil 2. I'll talk about this as a sequel to the Resident Evil 2 remake rather than as a remake to Resident Evil 3, because I feel like that's probably a place to start with this.
That's probably a closer comparison as well, that it's been based off of that rather than it's been built off the back of 2 rather than, like you say, revisiting 3 and remake it from there. But yeah.
And it stands on the shoulders of Resident Evil 7 in quite an interesting way as well, which I'll get to. So yeah, you're from Resident Evil 2. The gameplay is very slightly updated. It's basically the same, over the shoulder, aiming, shooting. It's your standard fare since Resident Evil 4, really. Dead Space. It's that gameplay. Jill has a dodge move called a quick step, which allows her to maneuver out of the way of incoming attacks. She can do this 3 times in a row before she becomes staggered and can't do it again. If you perform this quick step at the exact correct time, you get a forward roll, which avoids all damage, and then you can spin around and go into slow motion and pop a few shots off back at whatever was attacking you. Carlos has a shoulder bash, so he goes into people with his shoulder or zombies and cause them to become staggered for a second. So slightly different to Jill's quick step. It can be used in a similar way, like you can shoulder bash away from stuff, but typically it's used to just bash everything back a little bit and give you a bit of space.
I've heard it's a lot better than, his get off me is a lot better than Jill's evasion. Really?
That is interesting, because I've heard the exact opposite.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. Follows the events of Resident Evil 3 with a few large subtractions. So a lot of the game has been cut, which is one big complaint from a lot of the fans of the Resident Evil series. There's no clock tower section. A lot of the puzzles have been taken out to the point where there are only, I think, 2 in the game's short runtime of roughly, on a first play, say 5 hours standard difficulty. If you look for everything, you get about 5 hours playtime. On a second playthrough, under 2, people are finding it, and that's on again keeping it on standard difficulty, and that's not with speedrun strats as well.
Yeah, I've seen a few speedruns already that have clocked up on like the harder difficulties, and they're clocking in about 2 hours, which that's less than a week with the game.
And that's just going to get optimized over time. For comparison, Resident Evil 2 has 4 campaigns. Each one on a first playthrough will take an inexperienced player roughly 8 hours, and maybe 4 for a second playthrough, third playthrough. And then speedruns have taken it down to an hour 50, from an hour 50 to 2.5 hours. So the amount of content in this game could be argued to be criminally small for a full price release. The pace of the game is very, very different to both Resident Evil 3 Classic and Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 has the classic feel of Resident Evil. You know, you're in a big kind of sprawling, open-ish space. You got your locked doors and business, and you have to work out your way through that while avoiding the denizens of the area. Resident Evil 3 is more of a linear action experience. You have a lot more weapons, a lot more ammunition, and a lot more opportunity to create ammunition. And you only really have 1 or 2 sections in the game that you could consider open that allow for exploration. You're not really in an open space trying to navigate it. You're just going through action set pieces to progress to the next. You predominantly play as Jill, although you take over as Carlos for short sections of the story, roughly a 60-40 split. And Carlos's sections are even more action heavy than Jill's. And
when I saw how much ammo he had in his assault rifle, he had like hundreds of bullets, and I was like, "What is this? What is going on?"
Yeah,
it's a survival horror game.
It's crazy. Like, if you see any gameplay of a Carlos section of the game, he'll have an assault rifle with 60 rounds in the mag and then like 200 spare, and you're just peppering zombies. You're just firing non-stop because you can. So it's a different tone, pace, feel to the game. Not necessarily bad. I'm reading reports. I've not played it myself. A big bugbear for me is how they've handled Nemesis. Now, people are saying, hyperbolically, that he makes Mr. X look like a pussy, which I have to disagree with. Mr. X is a great motivator for the sections of the game that he's in, because you don't know where he is. You hear him, he's stalking around, but he could just pop out of a door at any time. People can also pop out of a couple of walls at very specific points. And he just pops out, and then you're getting chased. And the tension just ramps up. Nemesis only does that in one section of the game within the first hour and a half. For the rest of the game, he's relegated to boss fights. You find him in a boss fight arena, you fight him, you move on. There's only one part where he stalks you like Mr. X does. So he doesn't operate in the same way, which...
From what I've seen, is that like the first kind of proper area with like the donut shop? And,
yeah. In fact, the area from the demo. That is one of the only open world, quote unquote, areas in the game, is that kind of Raccoon City area, and that's where you're stalked by Nemesis. And that's the only time he can be described as stalking you. The rest of the time, it's a set piece and then a boss fight, typically. So he's nothing like Mr. X, and I much prefer the way Mr. X was handled, especially as I've started playing through the B campaigns and they mix up where he comes from. And my God, the number of times I've been like, oh my God, here he comes. I don't have enough ammo. What do I do? He just ramps that tension up to 11. And I don't necessarily feel that Nemesis is handled in the same way. So, don't know how I feel about that. They've taken away mercenaries. Resident Evil 3 was the first Resident Evil to have mercenaries in it, which is now kind of a... Could you say a famous mode? It was in 3, 4, and 5. You know,
it was kind of like a cult thing. I think the players liked it a lot better than maybe the devs wanted to make it for. They probably didn't anticipate how popular it would be with people, but it's definitely a fond thing that people myself included, look back on and think, yeah, that was fun. That was definitely fun.
I have a lot of fond memories of Resi 4 Mercenaries. It was an incredibly fun aside once you complete the game. Not only can you go back and play it on a hard difficulty, you get some unlocks, there's some replay value there, but you also have this extra mode that has its own unlocks, extra maps, extra characters, they all play completely differently. It was a laugh to go back in. This Resident Evil 3 has no mercenaries. Instead, it's bundled with Resident Evil Resistance, which is an asymmetrical multiplayer game, not entirely unlike Dead by Daylight, where one player takes control of a umbrella scientist and besets a team of 4 subjects who have to make their way out of an umbrella laboratory while zombies, traps, the standard stuff. When I first saw this announced, I was hoping it was going to be like Resident Evil Outbreak, like a co-op experience. And I was a bit disappointed when I saw that it was just an asymmetrical multiplayer game. I think it's a bit... I don't know, it seems like it might be fun for 2-3 hours, but it's not something that's going to hold... It's not like Overwatch, it's not going to hold your attention forever. It's not the next esport. It's just a fun aside where you get to control some monsters.
I think it's interesting that the last few games we looked at was at the Predator, Hunting Grounds, Doom. They've all gone with an asymmetrical multiplayer as opposed to a traditional, just deathmatch based. Everybody have a gun, everybody shoot each other. But from what we've seen, and I kind of think how we both don't want to put words in your mouth, but how we kind of agree that doesn't generally have as much legs as a traditional multiplayer does. So it's interesting that I think games recently have taken that approach to their PvP. It's
an interesting experimentation for sure, and I don't know whether it's a good idea or not, because I quite liked Predator Hunting Grounds, which is something I announced on the Facebook page. Let you know that there was a beta weekend coming in for that one. That's releasing end of this month. I'll definitely be covering it. It was enjoyable, but it was enjoyable because it was a co-op experience and a competitive experience simultaneously. Whereas when you have... I don't know, it kind of works in Doom as well, but again, it doesn't have that same kind of... I wouldn't play it like I used to play COD, like quite obsessively. And it just doesn't have that same kind of vibe to it, in my opinion.
I don't think it grips you as much, because I think you're going to be... Like, if I could play that being actually Nemesis, that would be really cool, and I'd be a lot more into it. But I think dumbing it down to that makes it a little bit, kind of, for me, neuters it a little bit.
Can you imagine if, instead of it being like an Umbrella Scientist thing, imagine if you took control of characters from the series, they all had special attacks or something, and they could all do different stuff. You had an area that was like rammed with zombies and BOWs, and you took control of one of the monsters from the game series, and they had a series of objectives they had to complete, and you were just dropped in and you had to kill them. Just a bit more simplistic, toned down, make it more action-packed. They've clearly gone for a really heavy action focus on this game. And I've been covering a lot of the negative stuff. Some of the positive stuff, the game feel is still great. The characters look amazing, the environments look amazing, incredibly detailed. It's a great looking game, great playing.
The cutscenes are beautiful, I've got to say. I've watched it on someone playing it on a high-end PC with decent specs, but still, it looks fantastic.
And the characters are well written too. Like Jill is written differently to how she was in Resident Evil 3, so she is more of a full character. And same with Carlos. Carlos was kind of a cardboard cutout in Resident Evil 3 in a way. He didn't really have much to say for himself. But in this, he is a realistic character who, has reactions to stuff. You can get on board with his motives, which is nice.
I like actually that they balanced him. He's got like an old school, slightly campy 80s action hero vibe, but he's not like ridiculous. He's not like ham-fisted. He still gives I think the first instance he comes in, he gives Nemesis the rocket launcher, and he's like, "Hey, fuckface," and he gives that. But he develops and says normal things. He's not just like, "Well, that's not muscle, so I don't care." He's not like that. He's human and normal.
Yeah,
as normal as you can be in Resident Evil dialogue.
That's a good way to put it. It's definitely still a Resident Evil game, so the dialogue is interesting in points. But yeah, he is more of a character now. Cutting all this short, I'm just going to say, wait for a sale. It's not worth full price, in my opinion. The game's too short. Replayability is low. You unlock extra difficulties to play through the same campaign, and you get a store that allows you to buy little upgrades for Jill or Carlos as you go through the games. You can get like extra weapons, infinite ammo stuff, things that we know from Resident Evil. And going back to the Resident Evil 7, how this stands on the shoulders of Resident Evil 7, they have a weird thing with coins. You get like assault coins and defense coins, and you put them in your inventory.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, you know, like they're like a stat boost or like a perk thing, right? Where if you're holding them, you get more damage, more inventory slots, stuff like that.
It's odd. It's odd to me. Yeah, I'd say this is definitely one to wait for a sale for, and it's strange because, well, I say it's strange, it's perfectly understandable. The big review sites are giving it all like 9 out of 10s and stuff, and then the more independent review sites are giving it a, 6, 7.
Yeah, I think I'd probably give it a 7. It's a good game, but I think people were. If you look at this independently, it's probably quite a good game. But if you look at what it could have been and what they've removed from 3 being quite a cherished game within Resident Evil series, people were probably hoping for more of a direct translation, whereas I think 2 it kept more of the same stuff and then made the stuff that wasn't so great about it better, added in Mr. X. So the stuff that was different was better, whereas this, I feel like, from the feedback I've got from people who are reviewing it, is that they're just, the content that's come out of it hasn't been replaced by anything.
Yeah, like the decision system as well. That was quite a big part of Resi 3. Gone. No multiple endings. A single story. Everyone knows that by now, but it's just things like that they've taken out. No mercenaries. It just seems to be truncated in a strange way. And I think that's due to the short development cycle. It started development as soon as Resi 2 was released. That's not a long time to make a whole game.
Yeah, so
it's going to happen.
Understandable from that point of view.
And that's why I went back to the B campaigns rather than buying Resident Evil 3. So I'd advise you guys do
How
this.
How much would you pay for this, Matt? How much would it have to come down from? So say it's 50 quid at the moment. How much would you say if people see it for this price? That's a fair price to buy it for. 30?
I'd say 25. Definitely under 30. I mean, you're getting a 5-hour campaign with limited replayability and a multiplayer game that will probably hold your attention for under 5 hours. So, 25 quid. Moving on.
A fair summation.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Final Fantasy VII Remake, coming at us from Square Enix Division 1, published by Square Enix. This is coming out the 10th of April, 2020. This is a reinvention of the Final Fantasy VII game, which is a much-loved game by many folk. I know neither of us have particularly strong ties to the game, but we can both respect its place in the gaming pantheon.
Indeed.
I was surprised to hear that this is part of a Final Fantasy VII series. So this follows the events of the Midgar section of the game, from the original game, sorry. So this is just the city part of Final Fantasy VII, and they're setting up for this to be kind of like imagine Hobbit style, like they're going to split it into different parts of the game, and you're going to get Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, I suppose.
A quick question. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead. Is that peeved some people who were expecting more?
It seems to have done the opposite, actually. The way they've handled it is to flesh out this Midgar section to the point where people are satisfied to explore the world. Because in the first game, you kind of move through it as almost like a prologue and go straight onto the main story arc. But in this, the whole game essentially takes place in Midgard, and you do your bits and bobs. So they've moved away from the turn-based action of Final Fantasy VII Original and gone to the more recent real-time action of Final Fantasy 12 and 13. Characters have one attack button. You can then switch your type of attack and do special moves based on a bar that you build up. Not your limit bar. You still have limit and limit breaks, but there's also ATB bar, I think it's called. And you build that up and it allows you to do special either item attacks or weapon upgrade attacks. So the combat seems definitely not complicated. It's no Bayonetta, but you have to go to it with your mind plugged in and actually think about what you're doing. Enemies have a stagger meter, kind of like Sekiro, but not quite as complicated. If you attack an enemy at the right time during their attack pattern, or with the right attack, they'll become staggered. And while they're staggered, you deal a certain amount more damage to them. So again, there's a few things going on in combat in real time that make it a fairly engaging loop. The levels seem to be really well made graphically, and the main characters, all look great. The side characters, not so much. Animations lacking. Their models and textures are so when they're juxtaposed with the main characters, who are incredibly high fidelity. The level layouts seem to be quite linear. The playable area is pretty low, and from my experience with the Final Fantasy series, that's true of anyone that I've played. You seem to just go along a path, have your random encounters. Sometimes there's a little offshoot, sometimes there's a side quest, but typically they're not the broadest of games. I haven't played too many of the later ones, but they seem to be pretty down the line. I think I played 10 or 10-2. I don't remember.
I haven't played a single one, so I'm going to listen to anything you say on this, and I'm not going to challenge anything.
Well, I mean, that's my experience, my limited experience with it. Apparently the plot gets a little bit JRPG towards the end, as in it kind of goes off the rails somewhat, even for a Final Fantasy game.
Go on, you surprised me.
And the side quests can be a little filler-esque, to the point where it's like, kill these rats or collect these pelts. It does get to that level.
Get me this item, fetch this quest.
Pretty much. They can be a little bit lackluster on the side quests. Apparently it's very, very well optimized, and it has just a good main loop. Story's pretty good. If you're into the Final Fantasy VII series, you probably already own this. And it seems like a good game for anyone who wants to revisit the story of Final Fantasy VII from a slightly different perspective, and a slightly more expanded perspective too. It has an interesting take on the difficulty modes, where you can have easy, medium, hard, and there's also story difficulty, where the game kind of just plays itself and you just experience the world, which is,
okay,
if that's the experience you want.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. It seems like a perfectly serviceable remake, and there's a sequel coming. There's going to be a Final Fantasy VII Remake sequel that will continue the story. For me, this is a miss for me. I'm not going to pick it up. It's not really my cup of tea. I'm sure there are people that already have this and are loving it. It has about a 30 to 40 hour campaign, so you're certainly going to get bang for your buck. Yeah, good game. Good Final Fantasy
Just
game.
As a quick one to jump in, do you know how it's been received critically and or commercially? Because from what I have heard leading up to the release, it had a lot of hype. People were even kind of people that I'd seen on Facebook and stuff, that I wouldn't categorize as gamers.
Yeah.
A lot of them were remembering it fondly, like, I can't wait for this to come out because it's a game I played when I was a kid. So do you know if it's lived up to that hype at all?
It seems to be living up to that hype. I just jumped on Metacritic then, cheating a little bit. It's got 87 on Metacritic currently, and it seems to be doing fine. Like, people are enjoying it, because the people that are picking it up are the people that want this story again, but modernized. So I think it's going to do just fine, and I think it's going to warrant its sequel. Okay,
that's fair. So maybe what RA3 was kind of hoping to receive from people, but has kind of fallen short, is Final Fantasy VII has mopped that up, I guess.
Yeah. So no truly piercing insight on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but that's the hot take on that one. Moving on to my indie spotlight. In Other Waters, from Jump Over the Edge, published by Fellow Traveller, coming out the 3rd of April 2020. This is a very interesting game. You play as an AI inside of a dive suit, controlling a xenobiologist on an alien world. So you have like a top-down view of a map. If you imagine the auto map in the Doom games, that kind of view, but that's all you see of the world. And you have to manage inventory and resources and help this xenobiologist find her lost colleague. It seems very interesting, very minimalist, kind of a resource management puzzle game. Something cool about it is that you never actually see the seafloor. You guide the biologist around, and she describes it to you through text boxes, and you have to try learn.
I'd reply to you Matt, with all the things you're telling me, but you're taking me on a lot of left turns. So by the time you tell me one thing and I've processed it, you're like, oh, by the way, you never see this, and then you're doing this. But it sounds cool.
It's an odd game, and it's one of those ones where I can't really describe how it plays. It isn't. I think I said this in the last episode actually of the game I was talking about. I think it was the What the Golf. I said it's not. I can't say third person action or anything else. It's a puzzle game from, I guess, a bird's eye view. It looks really interesting. There's really good narrative depth, minimalistic style, and it reminded me of the game Waking Mars. If anyone's familiar with that indie title, if not, go get it. It's a great game. You have to use what's on the seafloor on this alien planet to interact with one another, so that you can make space for your biologist friend to move through this area. You might find some spores that are toxic to a certain school of fish, so you release them into an area to make space so that you can move through, or you might find that one fungus doesn't agree with a certain type of plant, so you put it near it, and it has basic puzzle elements, but it seems like the core of it is experiencing the story, managing your resources, and just moving through the game. Super chill. Very engaging, but not stressful. So like a lo-fi kind of puzzle experience. I can definitely recommend picking that one up. It's out now on Steam and Switch, I believe, in other waters.
Okay, cool.
And that's what I've got for you this episode.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That's right. So now that I've finished rambling about remakes, Sam, what's going on in the news?
I am also so glad that you asked. So, my first one for you today is that Game, I put Game UK, but Game, the retail store in the UK, has officially finally put its staff on furlough. That's coming at least until the end of this month. So we're now April. Mm-hmm. Yeah, April. It's hard with days, man. I thought today was Wednesday. I wasn't too sure. Me and Danielle had a debate over what the actual day was, because there's just days now.
My sense of time gets messed up, so I'm not too bad on knowing what day it is, but I can't tell whether it's the morning or the afternoon often, or when you just feel like a time of day. That's kind of just completely out of whack at the minute. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
I think because it's not punctuated by an official lunch, or like a lunchtime, that helps for me when I'm at work and it gets to 1 o'clock and I can eat. I know then I'm in the latter half of the day, but I don't know, maybe it's just me. But yeah, the parent company for Game, which is the Frasers Group, they said that going into May, they can't guarantee that they can provide full pay for people after that point, which is obviously awful. But they're not going to be alone in that. There's going to be plenty of companies that are going to be in the same boat. The standard furlough rules apply. They get 80% of their pay this month with a cap of up to $2,500. I don't know if that's gross or net. I'm not quite sure. But Frasers Group have also said that it, quotes, it cannot rule out the possibility of asking people to take voluntary pay cuts or making redundancies, which again is obviously a really shitty thing for anyone that does work for a game, and then anyone else. I haven't looked at the people that Frasers Group also represents or owns, but that's obviously this is affecting the economy in ways that I think people may not have anticipated. And I know a lot of people have been affected, ourselves included. And they've all said it was kind of a bit, so my view, again, this is just me. I would want to be realistic, but also more assuring to people, because people are obviously getting a bit panicky, thinking that they're not going to be able to pay rent and mortgages and all that kind of stuff, just afford the cost of living. But they have said, quotes, "We and you should plan for the next few months getting harder for our business." Now, as an employee, I would not be filled with confidence if my employer, owner, parent company, whatever, came out and said that. And I know they probably think that honesty is the best policy, and a lot of times I think it is, but I think there's definitely a way for you to phrase it that maybe calms the waters a little bit rather than maybe inciting a bit of worry and panic.
They could have been a bit more diplomatic about it, for sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's the only criticism I have. But if they want to lay it out for people and not sugarcoat it, then it's obviously their way of establishing that PR route, I guess. But yeah, a lot of companies have had it. Everyone from big companies like I know Air Travel or like I think P&O, British Airways, loads of companies like that have had taken a huge hit. Places obviously like a lot of food places, so McDonald's, Greg's, Costa, the pillars you would say of British society almost. Primark as well. They've all put people on furlough. I don't know how. I'm not privy to numbers of how much the staff, if not all, they've put on it, but it's definitely affected a lot of people. And I think the gaming industry and things like leisure, FECs, arcades, stuff like that, they're kind of be one of the harder hit industries because it's not a necessity, is it? But people like NHS and medical and stuff like that have all been they've obviously all gone the other way because they're they've got people working crazy at the moment to deal with what's going on. But I do want to put out there that if anyone listening, if you've been affected by furlough or how you've been affected by the lockdown, whether that's financially or whatever, share it, let us know how you're getting on. We hope everyone is being okay. Everyone's being looked after by their employers and stuff. And so if you want to let us know how you're getting through it, we're all ears. We're happy to see how people are overcoming these trying times. My next item is that Twitch have introduced new rules for their chat.
Ooh, okay.
So apparently this has been a bit of a long time coming for a lot of people, in that from anything, Twitch especially. I haven't seen it myself, but because I don't hang out on Twitch too much. But I imagine moderating trolls in the chat could almost be a full-time job for some streamers, that people come in and try and ruin all the fun that people are having.
I think it is. Streamers tend to employ at least 2 mods to have their eye on chat at all times.
Okay, that makes sense, definitely. But now, if you're banned from the chat, you can no longer see the chat at all.
Okay.
So you are completely zoned out from that. And you don't appear in follower or chat lists. And I think another really good thing that is going to help out a lot of people is that, from a workaround that is that you will get banned as a troll. You just create a new one and come in. But now you get shadow banned based on your IP address.
That's a good change.
So, you can't just, get banned, come in as someone else and start ruining it. They can still make comments, but no one can see it. So they're just shouting in an empty room, essentially. They've introduced a new mod view that you can suspend, ban, all that kind of stuff a lot more easily than just, I think before you had to use chat commands.
Okay.
So it's a bit more of an easier setup, and the UI is maybe a bit friendlier. The mods can search a user in the chat. So if I was in it and I'd been an ass in every chat I've been in, I just come in and spam loads of profanity and stuff. They can see my message history and who I've interacted with and all the last kind of stuff I've done.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a pretty good, cool feature.
That's interesting. Yeah, it will encourage people to be a bit more polite and take away that shield of, I don't know, anonymity when people just storm around being assholes.
Yeah. Also, I guess you're held accountable to your previous actions, right?
Yeah.
You're not. You're gonna be like, oh, this is the first offense I've had. It's like, well, actually, no. You've in the last 10 chats you've just been a bit of a dick. And there's a new queue for flag messages. So Twit has an auto mod that flags up and says, oh, maybe you want to look at this because maybe this guy's being a bit funky, or this dude's doing this. So now you can queue those up and look at them and say, okay, that's fine, that's not, that's fine, that's not. So yeah, all good. I'm always interested in always a bit of Twitch news, because I think Twitch as a medium is kind of the premier content location for video gamers. I know it's kind of changed lately with people like musicians and other kind of people getting in on it with the quarantine keeping people inside. And they've also, I saw it the other day, but I'd written this before this happened, and I thought I didn't want to take up another thing with another lot of Twitch, but they've updated their clothing and nudity policy as well. Yeah. So I think they kind of announced that it was, I'm ad-libbing a bit here, just forgive me, because I read the article quickly. and only give it like a once over. But they've basically not had any room for sort of interpretation. What I'm looking for, where you can't quite differentiate what it might be. So they've spelt out what is and isn't okay.
Okay.
So I'll include a link to that actually as well, so people can check it out if you're on Twitch and you're maybe considering, or if you're considering starting Twitch, you might want to know what you can and can't do. I think the main thing is, I don't know if it was brought up by that, but they've explicitly said you can breastfeed on Twitch, so that's not a point of contention anymore, because I know that way back when we covered that story, I believe.
One of our earlier videos, yeah.
So maybe a bit of a throwback, but yeah. So yeah, I'll chuck a link in the description as well for that if you want to check that out. And then my final big one, as Matt mentioned in the intro, was for the House Party app. So things like Zoom, Teams, maybe Discord as well has been popping up for a lot of people. Everyone's looking for ways that we can still interact and connect, and seeing someone is a lot more, I think, just brings that element more of closeness than just a standard phone call does. And House Party is one of the things it's an app that people have used that can basically do, I don't know what the cap on it is, but it's like a virtual meeting basically. So you have a big FaceTime call that everyone gets in on. It's actually, that I didn't know until I looked this up, that it's owned by Epic Games, as in the Epic Games that
wow.
the Fortnite guys, they bought it back in June of last year. And there's kind of stuff going around with it that it's unsafe and it's very vulnerable to being hacked. It was interesting because I've got a WhatsApp group with my family, and there's probably about 8 of us in there. And one of my aunts actually posted in there that they'd seen that, I don't know if they shared it from someone else, if they were saying it was one of their friends or co-workers or something, but they said that they got, allegedly, House Party had hacked one of her bank accounts and made a charge on a card on something. And there's been some other stuff as well that people have said they've had their Spotify and Netflix accounts done in, and then more serious things like they said bank accounts and emails, maybe people access and passwords and kind of funky stuff like that. Epic has come out and said that these sort of claims are unfounded, and Epic are, quotes, victims of a paid commercial smear campaign.
Drama. So
who'd be doing this? I can't initially think of someone that would, but they've put up a cool $1 million bounty to find the, quotes, malicious actor or actors that are behind the campaign. The official tweet from the House Party Twitter account is that, quotes, "We are investigating indications that the recent hacking rumors were spread by a paid commercial smear campaign to harm House Party. We are offering a $1 million bounty for the first individual to provide proof of such a campaign to," and then there's the email address for the thing, which is bounty@houseparty.com.
We'll share that in the description as well.
Yeah, we'll put that in there. The kind of consensus from the sort of the cybersecurity community, which is independent from that, so this doesn't just come from Epic or House Party, is that the likelihood of the app being able to hack someone's account apparently is highly unlikely. So this, from separate people not related to this anyway, they've kind of reviewed it and said that this isn't likely a thing that can happen, and that people have, because there's been a huge influx of people to the app, if these things have then happened, they could have likely come from other sources, and it's just a coincidence that everyone's been downloading this, so they're kind of putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5.
Yeah.
Which, people that, aren't, the average person isn't going to be that informed, especially if you've got, not one to generalize, but if you've got an older generation of people that maybe aren't that tech savvy. Yeah. They're going to make these kind of deductions that, I downloaded this app, and then I clicked on an email from a Nigerian prince, and it's obviously not his fault. So it's definitely House Party. Yeah.
You can definitely, like you said, put 2 and 2 together, make 5.
Yeah, so it's it's understandable why this why people are coming to these conclusions, but nevertheless, it's not fair to make. I don't want to give Epic generally a lot of slack, but if, I don't just want to. I feel like they may be getting pinned. They're just getting pinned on them, and that's not entirely fair if there's no foundation for the allegations. And a quote from Epic, it says, "Our investigation found that many of the original tweets spreading this claim have been deleted, and we've noticed Twitter accounts suspended." So It's an interesting one. I don't know if you can weigh in that, but I can't think of anyone that would be gunning, other than not like a. Doesn't strike me there'd be a grand conspiracy theory. Is that it's maybe some independent hackers just trying it on.
Well, right now it's competitive space. If you can have the one app that is linking everyone together for the next 3 months and is seen to do a lot of good at a time of global crisis, that's a lot of money and a lot of kudos. So I can see why it would be a competitive space. You've got stuff like you mentioned, Zoom, Teams. They all have mobile apps, I assume. Discord as well. You know, it could be anyone who in their right mind would target Epic. I don't know, and I think any corporate personages would be smart enough to not do that, because Epic will find out eventually and grind you into the dirt. So it's just not worth the risk. But I don't know.
When you're going after someone that's got a lot of backing, they got a lot of money. You know, they can definitely fight you back. If I was, a small time hacker thinking, I'm gonna get in on this. Not even, you can understand maybe people trying to get in, hack the accounts, and then taking it from there. But to actively look and trying to ruin their reputation seems like an odd path to take.
It feels, if it's a commercial smear campaign, it kind of makes sense. Like I said, for the reasons that I said, it doesn't really make sense from a solo hacker point of view, right? To belittle House Party, and also like you mentioned already, it could just be coincidental. It could just be that so many people are now flocking to these kinds of apps, and breaches have happened, because there's also been a spike in other kinds of malicious targeting. So like, I know people were getting texts saying you've been spotted outside your house, or your GPS on your phone has told us you've been outside your house. Click this link to confirm that you're home. They click it.
There's been some real scumbags, that have taken advantage of such a shit time.
So, like you said, people are downloading this app, and at the same time, a lot of people are getting targeted, and maybe it's just one of those things. There's correlation, but there's no causation.
That's well put. I think on that very well put note, we should wrap up the news. So I hope you're all more informed. I know Matt is. He always is.
Always enlightened. Love hearing your voice.
Thanks. So that's all I got for the news, and now we move on to the episodic question, which was last time, what are games we have primarily experienced with other people? And Matt is going to start us off with this one. So Matt, please tell us.
I have put a lot of GameCube games on this list.
You have, actually. I'm sensing a theme.
The GameCube was a big staple of my gaming nights with my mates. I still actually have my GameCube floating around somewhere in my office. It's changed form over the years. I've attached a battery and a screen and all kinds of madness to it, because it can do that. And the Game Boy player as well. That is an awesome peripheral that is impossible to get anymore. But yes. So 007 Nightfire is one of my favourite James Bond games. Come at me. I loved it for the customizable multiplayer games.
I'm going to say it's better than GoldenEye, because I had a good time with Nightfire.
It was just a laugh. Like I understand GoldenEye's significance, but I had so much fun with Nightfire, like doing remote bombs only, or setting one AI to like max and having us all try and hunt him down while he's got the golden gun or something. You could just make your own fun in that multiplayer game, and we played it for hours.
I think we used to use the laser. We went up like an all laser one. Was it like the red hand cannon laser, whatever the hell it was?
Oh yeah. Oh god, they could just
use it on the final mission, because it was in space, and you fought the guy on like the space platform, whatever it was.
You were like on the outside of a satellite or something?
Yeah, I think he was on like a missile platform, and he was going to shoot it at like the nations or something. I can't remember.
Some James Bond crap, you know.
Yeah, some evil man doing something evil.
So there's that. There was Mario Party 4, which is my favourite Mario Party.
Oh wow!
We put the turn timer up to max, not knowing how long that would take, and roughly 10 or 11 hours later, we all finally went to bed, because that's how long.
Is it 99?
Yeah, it's a long time. It was a long game. We had like thousands of coins. We were up to like 50 stars. It was just insane. It just kept going and going and going. Left 4 Dead 2 is another game I mentioned. I think in the last episode we were talking about games that we spent a lot of time in. Spent a lot of time in Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, and that was always with people. You know, it's a co-op focused game. Much like Resident Evil 5, I've also put on this list. Love a bit of Resi 5. That was only improved having people there.
Yeah, you don't want to play that with an AI. You just don't.
Sheva, give me an egg.
Sheva, give me a friend.
Give me a friend to play this game with because you are the worst.
Okay. Or you can't be serious.
It was a mercenaries mode when you played Wesker. If there were two of you and you go down as Wesker, you failed me. When you call for help, instead of being like, help me out, he's just screaming, you failed me. Going back to the GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee. That was an excellent game. Not as good as Ultimate. I do think Ultimate is the best installment of Smash Brothers that we've ever had, in my humble opinion.
See, it's interesting, just to go on that. I've seen a lot of criticism of Ultimate for... Apparently, what people don't like about it is its buffer system.
That's fair.
And it's got such a wide window, I think, of like 9 to 10 frames, which is why you get things like air dodging under the stage and things like coming out of Yoshi's egg or Kirby and DDD's mouth, which is why you like come out and immediately air dodge. But sorry, yeah,
it's frustrating for high level play.
Yeah,
I mean that's pretty much it. Vermintide was a game I still love. Vermintide 2 is a great game. I definitely recommend that to anyone. And more recently, as in today, Man of Medan. Fran picked it up, and we weren't playing it together, but I was watching her play it, and we were kind of making the decisions together. It's quite a fun, low impact multiplayer game in a way. You know, kind of like a Telltale game where you just kind of make choices and enjoying the story. And it's a horror story. I love horror, so doubles down as being awesome for me. What about yourself, Sam?
I'm going to jump right off the back of your Telltale-ness because Danielle and I experienced The Walking Dead, the first season. For me, the best season in terms of just pretty much every aspect, in that we just experienced that together. We made the decisions together, and it was just a cool experience to have that, as much as we experience a TV show when you're just in it. We haven't had the joy of watching / involving ourselves in Bandersnatch, but that's probably the next closest thing to something like that. And we were like invested in the story. She was like annoyed when I would choose to save other people versus hers, because I was holding the controller. So we try and compromise, but I think it gives you about 5 seconds to make a decision. So yeah, I was the overruler. But yeah, that was just fun, and that was like I said, it isn't a multiplayer experience, and that it's just a story you experience with someone else and have some agency over. Portal 2, again, I played with her. There was caused a bit of stress because there's an achievement to complete the co-op course without dying, and that's a good maybe 8 test chambers. And you know, Portal being Portal, it's tough, but we rode that relationship wave, and we're fine.
Strong for it.
Yeah, we got through those tough times. E.g., Portal 2. Gears of War 1, I've covered before, was a big one. I played with my friends. Big shout outs to them. I played with my friend Greg, Ben, Tom, and less frequently, but there was a guy called Sam in my year that I also played with. That was like finish school, go home, have tea, play Gears for the next 3 hours. That was it. But back then, if we were all on, Gears was only 4v4 at that point. So we'd sometimes have it where if we were all on, that one person had to go on the other team. We'd obviously deliberately look to screw over that person as much as we could and kill them as fast as possible. Because, you know, we're mates, and that's what you do.
Nice, strong friend group.
Yeah, you relentlessly torment the people you're absolutely closest with. Again, yeah, Left 4 Dead. Although I didn't have a proper team of people. I kind of flitted in and out. One of my very good friends, Tom, if he's listening, will know that we experienced a lot of that together. More so the first one, not as much the second one. Rock Band. Again, my friend Tom, he had the drums and all that kind of stuff. He had like the full shebang of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be, if I would go back to his after college, when we had that, we'd play for a bit. Which I'm sure his parents love to hear us just smashing on drums and
singing
playing
discordantly.
Playing Beetle Bum and Edge of Sandman at like 9 o'clock at night. I'm sure they absolutely love that. My friend Aaron, who affectionately goes by the name Norb, which comes from Norbert from the Angry Beavers. I don't know again why he was then called that. I was introduced to him as that. So, but yeah, he came on holiday with my family, and I took my 360 with me. This is a while back now. We're talking 2007, 8ish.
Okay.
And we played, of all games, NBA 2K7. But we would turn all the rules off so we could just like push people over and stuff. So, but we definitely bonded over that game, and we played a bit of Rainbow Six Vegas 1 as well together.
Okay.
That was a fun old time. I'm sure he might remember that. He might have forgotten about that until now, but he probably has. It's all flooding back to him if he's listening to that now. Worms 2, I used to go to my friend Danny's house. And we would play. That was one of the few PC games I'd actually play. But it was weird. He had his PC in his kitchen, and his mum would be like, we'd be there playing Worms against each other, and she'd be cooking like chicken Kievs in the background. It was an old time. Army of Two, again, my friend Tom. As you can probably tell, I don't have that many friends because the same people keep cropping up.
I played Army of Two as well with my I think my little brother. Me and my little brother went through Army of Two.
It was a fun game, but it was goofy. There's a little story surrounding it, and that I couldn't go and buy it because I think it was an 18. So I asked my auntie to go and get it from Tesco, and she came back, and there was no disc in the thing.
Ah.
So, and my friend Tom already had it, and he was just waiting for me to show up. So he was getting a bit impatient on that. But yeah, that was fun. Army of Two was goofy and a bit broken, but it was fun.
As a tiny aside, my little brother also called Tom. Carry on.
That's true. The South Park arcade game, I played with my friend Louis, Dave, and I think the other person was Tom. I can't remember who the fourth one was. So there's a really hard achievement on that to beat a level on Insane. And you're not like it's like a tower defense game. Mm-hmm. But you're not like building towers. You have to build like a zigzag path for the enemies to go down to win. And that was like, we did that really late at night, and I just remember that was a nice co-op experience we all shared. Called Zombies, which my friends Dave, James, Alex, and sometimes Tom would come in to help out every now and then if we played, because we did it. So we did all the original World of War zombies, and then we did Black Ops 2. Zombies. Yeah, it was really cool. We not very creatively, but we called them zombie nights, where we'd all bring our 360s over to usually my house, or sometimes my friend Alex's house if his parents were away. We'd all bring our TVs, we'd get in, we'd order pizza. It was just a really cool night that I loved doing them. It was probably a pain in the ass. That there was definitely more in it for me because I wanted to get the achievements out of it and do all the insane Easter eggs. Ugh. But yeah, it was those like social moments that that gaming does bring people together, and I hope we can do one again when all this is over, because they're just really fun to do. But yeah, I actually did those twice because I did them for some of my friends on PS3, and then we did them again on 360. So that was fun. And my last one that I'm going to put in is Mario Golf, which not enough people played. Mario Golf is fire. And the good thing about it is that because it was turn-based, you only had to have one controller to play it with.
Okay.
So you could have, I would assume a maximum of 4 people there just because. But yeah, I didn't really game a lot with my parents. My dad more so, but with my mum and my stepdad not so much, because they're just not different generation, not really into games. Mm-hmm. But that would be a thing where, like, I don't know, maybe every other Friday we just play around in Mario Golf, and it was just fun. Again, that's just a nice. We usually have like traditional game nights where we do things like that. They were few and far between, but maybe like you get a board game at Christmas and then we play it, and I think that was a nice fun thing when all my family shared that. But video games, not so much. But Mario Golf was definitely one of them.
How wholesome.
Yeah, it was good. It's weird how much I'm like remembering how cool those like social interactions based around that were, because I feel like everyone was experiencing. For me, I'm getting the fun of playing video games with the fun of hanging out with my family and friends. There's nothing better than that for me.
No, yeah, that's why co-op games are just so much fun. You know, there's nothing more fun than playing with your mates.
Yeah, like I said before, when we did the RE5 DLC, like I could have never done that by myself. I would not have the fortitude to be able to make myself do that. But the fact we were doing it together and sharing the pain, and then like you stop halfway through, you get some food, you go to McDonald's,
just have a good time.
Just makes it fun. That's what games should be, right? It should be fun.
Exactly. So that's our answers to the question from last episode. But the question for this episode is, what are our best gaming anecdotes? So what do we mean by best, Sam?
Just ones that definitely, when you think of a story or a funny incident relating to that revolves around a game or involved in a game in some way. That's what I mean by best. Maybe the wrong word. Just okay, memorable. We'll change it to memorable. Best,
memorable, funny, sad, maybe, or
whatever emotion,
epic.
If they make you feel an emotion, they're good enough. They qualify.
I'm excited for this. I'm gonna have to think about this one.
I've got a few in my back pocket that immediately spring to mind, and a few that I've probably pushed down and tried to forget about.
You failed me!
So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, we are truly thankful.
Yeah, thank you for choosing to spend your time here. And keep your eyeballs peeled on the Facebook page, where we're going to be doing frequent updates, not just on Speech Check, but also on the wider gaming landscape. As we mentioned throughout this episode, I did a couple posts about free betas, free weekends, and Sam's put up a quiz and a couple of other bits of interesting content. So slide on over there, see if you see anything you like, and get involved in any way you choose.
Yeah, I think the one little disclaimer I'd like to put out is that we don't want to feel like we're making false promises by saying this, the content we want to provide beyond Speech Check. The main thing we want to do is that we get that Speech Check is quite a heavy meal, to give it a metaphor.
It's a long old chunk.
And so I think that the main challenge for us at the moment is deciding what to serve up as our more digestible content. I'm running with the food analogies right now.
You like your gastronomic metaphors.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know where that's coming from.
Hungry?
I've been eating a lot. I have been eating a lot since we've been isolated.
Have you been hearing my stomach rumbling for the entire episode? I've been trying to not.
Yeah, that's all it's going to pick up. It's going to be an hour of just.
And me trying to suppress belches.
Yeah, that's our ASMR podcast. But yeah, if I'll put the question of if there is content that you would like to see us do, or that maybe topics that you want us to talk about or to address, either through Speech Check or some other kind of content, then feel free to let us know that through YouTube comments, or you can interact with the Facebook page. If there's something you want us to cover or talk about, then that's fine. But we're going to continue to, I guess, deliberate what that shorter, more concise content should be. We have a couple of ideas, but it's just, I think, just deciding what is going to be the best one for our audience.
It's in the pipeline, and it's got to be attainable for both of us, and something we both want to do as well. Yeah, got to have the passion in there.
Exactly. Otherwise, there's just no point doing it. But yeah, if you want to support the channel or the podcast, you can do the usuals: follow, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of crazy stuff. There's going to be links all down below in the description, and you'll find this. I believe Matt is also posting these episodes on Facebook as well, so there'll be multiple ways to interact with them. But yeah, thanks again, guys. We always appreciate it. And yeah, just thank you for everybody's continued support. Everyone's been really nice. Everyone's very supportive of since the Facebook page has been made. Everyone's been really nice, really supportive, and liking and sharing.
It's primarily our mates at the minute, though, so bias involved.
Yeah, but they don't have to do it, right?
That's true.
So, but yeah, thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next time.